Hi, and welcome to my whiskey den, where we review whiskeys from the Midwest because they don't get a lot of love on other places. This week we're going to be looking at Yahara Bay's single malt IPA whiskey. So Yahara Bay has been mentioned on our channel a couple times. We did a review with their Wisconsin whiskey where it has a badger on the front of it with a monocle and he's all dressed up really nice. Kind of makes you feel like you need to dress up yourself when that badger's looking at you. So I have that hidden away. I'm just wearing a normal sweater today. But this I found when I was down in Madison, where they actually have Yahara Bay. It's in Fitchburg, just a little suburb just outside of Madison. Just a little bit easier for everyone who isn't in-state or from the Midwest to know where it's coming from. And I typically am not a fan of IPA beers or anything like that, but I had this and I actually kind of liked it, so it was pretty surprising for me. So what happens is Yahara Bay gets this from the Vintage Woodshed IPA. They're a beer company, they produce the IPA. Then Yahara Bay takes it, distills it twice, then ages it for 2 years in 53-gallon barrels. So it does get a little bit more of those barrel notes, at least been sitting in there a little bit, rather than just in and out, because there's been a couple whiskeys I looked at that are like 6 months, or the Pabst Blue Ribbon one was, it's in there for 5 seconds. Well, that, in my mind, that doesn't always count if it's only in a barrel for 6 seconds. That's just a little shady. But this, it is fresh on the nose. I'm getting a little bit of a spice note on the top end of it, like a baking spice. There is, you can tell hops. You can tell that there's a hops in it for sure. Or yeah, it's fresh and bright, a little bit of lemon, a little bit of citrus. I don't want to say it's not really a green note. When you think green note, I usually think of like maybe not a quite dried out barrel. That's not what I'm getting. And it's a little bit of like a spearmint vegetal note on the inside. But it's not as overpowering as some of the other beers and stuff. Obviously, if they distill it twice, it's going to pull out some more stuff. It still has a lot of that IPA character to it, but it is toned down. And for me, that's probably why I like to smell a little bit more. It is bold. It has a lot of stuff going on, but it's not like it's overpowering your senses. Take a drink here. Okay, there's a lot of stuff going on here. There's a little bit of a bitter note riding through the whole thing. It has some nice oils and tannins. It's sticking around on the finish. It's still hanging out there, so it doesn't just disappear like that. This is my first one back, so we're gonna have another sip here. I was gone for a little bit, so I'm trying to get my taste buds reacclimated to everything. Okay, there is that vegetal note, but it's almost like a spicy spearmint, and then you start getting some of the woods on like the second, third, towards the end of it. You start getting some barrel notes kind of protruding, but that first bit, it's kind of like on the nose. I'm calling it a fresh like spearmint. It's really interesting for a single malt, to be honest, because a lot of times you think single malt, you think this really dark, almost kind of super rich flavor, and this is more bright and effervescent, which is why I think it surprised me. Because like typically, if I have an IPA beer, it's like 2 drinks, and the thing's going down. It's just not my thing. But this I can have a little bit more of, and I'm surprised by it. The front end, there's honey, a little bit of green grass in the middle. There's some caramel flavor in there, but that's light, and once again, kind of second half, so I'm thinking more barrel notes on that is what's coming through on the end with that. So it has like a really bright pop of, excuse me, a few different flavors, and it kind of holds on for a second, and then that kind of fades a bit. The barrel notes come up, but you are still stuck with the flavors originally that are going down. Like they are thick on the back of my tongue still. This is why I had this one, because frankly, and I was pretty sure I was not gonna like it just altogether, and I was pleasantly surprised with what came out of the barrel on this one. Oh, I forgot some stats. I know some people are stat whores. It was barrel 15D, it was bottle 136, and it was 43% alcohol by volume. Now, the nice thing about going to the actual distillery, sometimes you can pick up a nice little bottle. I was going to say, instead of getting the whole thing, if you just want to have a taste. This is a 375 milliliter, and if you're not sure, you're just tasting, you want to bring it to a couple people, I think that's a wonderful size, rather than having to go with the monster size of things. And like I said, we've talked about Yahara Bay before. They do a lot of contract distilling for some other companies. We like a couple of things they put already, and the other companies that they contract to distill for, I've seemed to like so far. Like the Mellows has some really nice stuff. Crooked Water Spirits, those are the 2 coming off my head right away, and I know that there's a few more, but they're doing a very nice job there, and they're very open with what they're doing, and they want to tell you that, and they're experimenting with some other things. So over the next year or so, we're probably going to be trying some more of their stuff, because they're starting to dip into some more unique stuff like this. Like there's not many people that would do a single malt IPA. So I find that really interesting, and I'm glad Lars is headed in that direction. Yeah, it's like a grassy, crushed up spearmint on the nose, and it is in the taste too. Yep, honey, but yeah, that green, almost like a spearmint flavor, is what's, as in my mind, is what's dominating this. But like I said, I found it to be pretty interesting, and was just happy. It was surprising, and that's something to bring out to people. Is like, hey, this may not be the #1 whiskey that you love, but this was pretty interesting. And if you're starting to produce stuff that's interesting like this, that I think I would normally dislike, I'm more intrigued by some of the things that are going to be coming out in the future. They have a vanilla porter maybe in the next year or two that'll be coming out, and I am tempted to do that, because if it is beer, I'm going to lean a little bit more that way than I would to the IPA and the hopsy stuff. So pretty surprised by this, really happy, and I'm happy to be back with all you people. We'll be coming out with some more reviews in the next week or two. We'll have Mike Listick on. We'll be going over some whiskeys that he sent me from the Midwest. There's a couple in there that are from Missouri, one from Indiana. Should be some pretty interesting stuff. So remember, from my den to yours, it's not the size of the den that matters. It's the love of the whiskey. Cheers.